Hi, you guys. Welcome back. My name is Carrie Penny. I am the Happy Crafty Homemaker, and today we are going to be talking about Bernat lattice yarn. So this has been on the market since about 2024. I believe it's spring 2024 launch. They originally launched with a whole bunch of solid colors, as you can see here, or solid, I'm gonna say solid, pastel-y, less contrast colors. They've now gotten rid of those colors, and now everything is kind of in this color vein. I'll pop up a picture real quick of the colors I saw as being currently available. So this is a size 4 yarn. It is 54% polyester, 28% acrylic, 18% nylon. It is a size 4. Recommended needle size 5mm US 8. Same for the hook, 5mm US H. H if you're in the UK. Hook. The cleaning care on this is fairly standard. Machine wash, delicate, no bleach, don't dry clean, no dry, no iron, tumble dry, gentle. I would say personally, I would not put this through the washing machine unless I had it in a delicates bag, and I would air dry, not machine dry, just because of the nature of the fiber. I don't think it's going to so much pill as you will see texture forming on what is seen on camera right now as the black part of this yarn. The balls I have are 220 grams, 7.8 ounces, 384 yards. The reason why I'm doing this review now, I have one finished crochet project, one work in progress knitting project. And I was asked what I thought of this yarn about 2 months ago, because we're in mid-March now, heading towards mid-March now. And it was about mid-January when I was asked about this yarn. And I knew it was out. I knew it had been released and everything. I had seen a couple of people talking about it. I know Elise Rose, when she went to the fiber vendor show last year, this was one of the yarns she actually showed in that video. I don't think she ever came back and really talked about it, but I've been aware of this yarn for about a year now. And I thought it was part of like their chenille yarn lines, and I was wrong. And I'm very glad somebody asked me about it, because I wouldn't have really thought about it. I have not seen this in store, even when Joann's was still open. A couple of people did see this in its original colors at Joann's. And like I said, my Joann's, when I moved back to Columbia, they really weren't great. And our Michaels doesn't really carry a ton of not Karen Yarnspiration lines. So about the only place where I can get things like Bernat blanket currently, I think, is Walmart, but not all of our Walmarts carry yarn. So I couldn't tell you the last time I went to our Walmart. Maybe it was when we moved, so 3 years ago, maybe. So yeah, that I've been aware of it, but I hadn't tried it yet. So I was surprised. If you just want a quick, okay, here are the stats and yay, nay on this yarn, I'm going to say yay. Out of 10, I am probably going to give this an 8 out of 10 overall. So if that's all you're here for, okay. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let it play out, at like 4 times speed or something like that, just so I can get the views. But on to the rest of the things I have to say about this yarn. So first off, it's construction. So this is a chainette yarn. They actually refer to it, Bernat lattice peeks color through the cage. The soft polyester cage construction delivers a pleasant stitching experience. It's directly from their website. So unfortunately, well, let me see, this might help. It's a little dark here, and I am working with the best conditions possible. If you did not watch Thursday's show and tell 295, I would have done this part in face-to-face with you guys, but I was stuck in my closet because we had tornadoes in the area. So we've now got a cloudy day, and things are just not lining up like they should have to do this review. But what they mean by that is this is a black chainette made out of polyester, and we have a woven nylon piece running through here. So you can actually, at the cut end here, kind of separate this out. This is almost a fine ribbon yarn in here. With a little bit of texture to it. And you can see there is a cord there with this ribbony edge. I should have taken this apart off camera so you could not have to watch me pick this apart. Maybe this would have been easier if I'd done this the first time. That way you could see. So you can see this is kind of a a loose chainette almost. Polyester cage is actually a very good descriptor for it. And then you have that ribbon running all the way through the center of this. Their actual details when they introduced this yarn, the marketing blurb for it. Introducing the new member of the Bernat family, Bernat Lattice. With a printed core and hand-spun look, Bernat Lattice peeks color through the cage. The soft polyester cage construction delivers a pleasant stitching experience. You can create artistic, trendy, cozy, and lightweight projects by using this premium worsted weight yarn. Its high stitch definition allows stitchers of any level to be proud to show off projects with even simple stitched projects made to look complex. So that's what they're billing this as. That's what they're saying about their own yarn. And that is the construction of it. It is polyester as a yarn itself. When you just run your fingers down it, it is incredibly smooth and soft. I'm not going to lie, that is a very pleasant texture on the fingers. It's very soothing. This is when you pick up the skein, you will notice it is very heavy. When you look at the yardage to weight here, most worsted weights, you get, like 200, 250 yards for 100 grams. So you can tell the yardage is a little bit smaller, which by weight, that would tell you it's probably going to be a little bit heftier. It has a very dense feeling in the fabric. So I understand what they mean when they say kind of it gives your projects more of like a hand spun look, especially if you look at the original colors as they launched, because it really gave more of like a tone on tone textural tonal effect. Whereas the yarns right now are these super high contrast colorways. The colorway I am working with here is Blacklight. So this is it knitted. This is in garter stitch. I kind of took the Avenue pattern from Galt House of Yarn and altered the increasing for this. So that is a free pattern. But it's, an I-cord edge. You work out, work out, work out. For this one, I decided to do more like a shawl. So I actually have worked out to 3 feet. Oops, sorry about that. And now I have started my decreasing. I literally am at the just past 50% point on this. I am using my ChowGoo needles to knit this. And I'm going to say this, I really wish I had caught this in 2024 because it is so nice. It is really nice to work with. Weaving in ends has been very easy, at least with the crochet. The texture, you can tell, I mean, it's got drape, but it is so dense. And I mean dense in a good way. This isn't like stiff or something like that. This is squishy and soft and cozy. It gives you a very hygge sensation. The suede effect in the fabric that you make, whether you knit it or crochet it, is just dreamy. It is so dreamy to touch. I love this texture. I am very disappointed in myself. I hope that the sales we are seeing right now, I will have a link for Yarn Inspirations. Yarn Inspirations and Amazon for sure, but I believe Mary Maxim also has this yarn on sale, or maybe it was Hirschner's, but I will leave those up now. This is going out middle of March 2026. So if you're seeing this video and it's not that same week, the links may not, be on sale, but Yarn Inspirations has it on sale for 40% off, but there's no free shipping with Yarn Inspiration, regardless of order size, it looks like. So it looks like you can get a coupon, but they're running a deep sale, so they're not going to have a coupon. Mary Maxim, I think there's an availability for free shipping. Obviously, with Amazon, there's free shipping. So I after having knit this in particular, I was like, I really want more of this, but I am in a buying hold. And this is something that would be going to my stash, not something I would be using imminently. I can imagine you would get a slightly more rusticy look if this was stockinette stitch instead of garter stitch, just because there is so much texture to the yarn. You can't come in super tight in your stitches because of the nature of the yarn. The yarn itself is squishy. I mean, you can see it's got more of like that blown soft texture. So you would never be able to get like a super dense, tight stitch comfortably, at least. I'm sure you can put enough tension on it to where you're almost breaking the yarn to do it. I did use size 8 needles, I believe, for this. That was the recommended for this yarn. So that is what I am using here. So that's what I knit with it. Now, crochet, I did finish my project. This was using a size I 5.5 millimeter hook. So I did go a little bit larger with my crochet project. I used 200-gram balls of this. So I've now gone through 2.5 balls because I've already used half of the third one as well. So I did use a substantial amount, which is why I didn't feel too bad releasing this early. But I want you guys to be able to hit those sales if the sales are still up when you see this video, because like I said, 40% off is pretty good. That makes this $8.99. I purchased mine when it was on sale on Amazon. I got 3 skeins for $10 when it was on sale. This color was the one on that 3 for $10 sale, but they have some other colorways and the sales are kind of intermittent. So if there's something you want to like put on a watch list, I would recommend that as well. But this is the Checkmate shawl pattern, and this is by Sandra Le Madeleine from La Madeleine, which I love that name. That means pile of wool, which is just adorable. Checkmate. Another free pattern. And I wanted something that had a little bit of interest. So when it's up against something you can see where we have these 9-patch checkerboarding going on here. But I knew the yarn was very busy. So I knew that, the pattern down like this was going to be kind of blurred. When it was up, you would see more of the eyelet pattern. I took this to Prayer Shawl, and when I pulled it out, immediately everybody gasped and was like, oh, that's so pretty. And I was talking about the yarn and just how, you see how that just flumps into itself. It's so dreamy. I wish I could give you feel-o-vision because it feels like everything you wish suede yarn felt like. There are fabric suede yarns out there that used to be really popular in the early 2000s. A lot of people were using them to do weave in details on, little skinny fashion scarves and stuff in the Y2K era. Those never really felt truly soft. The edges were very scratchy because they were tape ribbon style. This is how you wish those felt. This is so squishy and unctuous. This will be donated or gifted, and whoever gets this is in for a treat. It falls around the shoulders like a dream, and that is because this yarn is so nice. Now, with the 5.5 millimeter hook, and the way I do my edging, we do have a nice firm edge. But when you look at the shawl part, every part of this is still stretchy. And when you come down to the open edge, this was the last row done, we still have brilliant pliability. So the top row is the only place where we have any type of reduced stretch, and that's just because of the way I do my extended chain turn instead of chaining up 2 or doing the chain 1 turn slip method. I think the extended single or extended chain does perfectly fine. So that did give me a slightly firmer edge, but you do still have excellent. I mean, even on this mooky day with the yellow overhead light, you can see every single stitch in here. You do have excellent stitch definition for this to be such a textural yarn. You don't lose the stitch pattern in it, which I think is just absolutely phenomenal. That is so amazing to me. That is kind of magical for that. Most textural yarns, you gain the texture of the yarn, but you lose the stitch definition. That's why you normally don't want to do anything that's a little overworked or anything. I think this would be brilliant if you took this yarn and held it with like a more standard, plied yarn and did a Fair Isle pattern or a slip stitch pattern where you had this textural, colorful interest yarn that would like peek through in the pattern. This would also go really well in a slip stitch pattern, so a mosaic pattern in knitting or crochet. But I mean, even here in the knitting, garter stitch is, busy and fussy anyway, but you can still see every single loop coming across here. You still have wonderful stitch definition even there. And the I-cord edge is very distinct as well. So like I said, this is definitely an 8 out of 10. It's not perfect. We had a knot in the ball I'm knitting where 2 pieces of the whole yarn were put together. In the other 2 skeins, the center ribbon was knotted together. So they had knotted this and continued weaving it through the polyester cage. So it didn't really create any issues in working with it so much as you do have to make a decision. Do you work through that? Because it's not going to get a whole lot of wear and tear. Like when you join 2 pieces of yarn together, it gets pulled a lot. It gets rubbed a lot. So you tend to want to pull those knots out and make sure you're giving a secure knot. The yarn inside of the cage is kind of supported by the cage. So you can, depending on the project you're doing with it, the care that it's going to have, you could theoretically just knit or crochet over that knot because it's not visible in the fabric, but you may want to cut it and put it back in. Now, weaving in the ends on this was actually very simple. It did better than most chainette yarns do. I'm not sure which side of this was where I wove in the ends, but you can't see where I wove it in. Like there's no obvious, density issues or anything like that in the center. When I was crocheting this, oof, just the size, to understand the size of this. All right, that's where I started from up there. We came down all these rows to here. This is where I joined in the second ball, and we got this far with the second ball. So it went a little less than twice as far, or half as far. So I'm very pleased with this. I don't know what else to say about it. I've talked about the construction. It's currently on sale. It is aesthetically attractive. I do like this with the high contrast, although I do wish they'd bring back the low contrast version of this as well, because I don't think they promoted this enough to explain that this was not like the chenille yarns. And this is something different. This is a different type of novelty yarn, a different type of specialty yarn. It's good for knitting and for crocheting. There's no splitting or anything. I wish I'd brought my hook in here with me, because with the Clover Amore hook, there's nothing for it to catch onto as the yarn. Like, this doesn't pull out easily. You saw me struggling to pull it out to show you the two pieces separated. So there's no snagging or splitting or anything like that. It glides on the hook. I mean, it was amazing on the Chalgu. It's amazing with the Clover Amore, which are my go-to preferred hooks and needles. I use a Susan Bates tapestry needle. It had no issue, the needle had no issue going through the stitches to weave in my ends. It threaded brilliantly, because the actual end, that tail stays stuck in there. There's no fraying or splitting or anything, because this is not a chenille yarn. So if you want that fine chenille look, if they brought back the tone on tone, you would be able to get that same kind of a look without all the frustrations that you have with a chenille yarn, where you have that thread cord and the shots of fluff going through it. And when you cut that, of course, you lose all the fluffs, because the yarn doesn't stay twisted anymore in the center. So I wish they had done more advertising to standard consumers about this yarn, its benefits, the texture of it. I actually went to look for reviews of this yarn, and I saw a couple of people on Reddit talking about it, but I really didn't see a lot of people in general even acknowledging that this line had released 2 years ago. So I think it's kind of unfortunately flown under the radar in a lot of ways, because they didn't push this yarn optimally. And I don't know if it's just because they didn't get it in a whole lot of US stores, or the US store that they did get it into, very quickly, went bankrupt and everything. I don't know, but this is so nice. It is so squishy and so soft. And the people that I did see talking about this yarn did say they really loved working with it. It was a great experience. They loved the colors. They loved the textures. Somebody did come back into one of the r/yarn recommendations post and said that they really lament not having the solids anymore. As much as they love these high contrast, the tone on tone was more what they were looking for current projects. So if you want, I will leave the links down below. Some of them will be affiliates, some of them won't, but definitely go check out this yarn. It gives you just such an amazing textural experience, and it's so genuinely beautiful to touch and work with. I've been incredibly surprised at the enjoyment factor of having a different texture yarn, and just how nicely this one has been done. It did make for a wonderful experience. So if you have any questions, leave them down below. If you've used this yarn, please share your experience with it as well. I would love to hear your feedback, your experience. Did you play with the first launch? Have you only played with the second launch, or vice versa? Have you seen this in your stores, and which stores are you seeing it in? Because, I don't have access to places like Meijer or something. Oh, Meijer's the grocery store. What's the other one? Anyway, some of the Midwest stores might have gotten more of this. I don't have access to those stores. There's also one on the West Coast that's kind of like a Walmart, but regional type stores. Did you see it there? Is there a local seller near you that carries things like this? Like, what has your experience been with this yarn, and where are you finding it? Maybe in person where you're accidentally finding it, or how did you hear about it? Is this the first time you're hearing about it? I'm really curious because this one just flew so under radar. Generally, I'm aware of things that come out. I just don't have time to review them, haven't had time to discuss them. But this is one where it just, I was aware it existed, mostly because of that Elise Rose Crochets video where she picked it up in one of her in that video. And I saw it and thought, that's interesting looking. And then didn't think about it again. Like, that's the only time I can really tangibly remember seeing or hearing anything about this yarn at the average consumer level. So anyway, I don't want to keep you guys too long. I do want to see those comments because I am curious. So please share if you've had a good experience, bad experience. What's your experience been? What did you make? Yada, yada, yada. Share, 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 because I enjoy seeing it and hearing about it. So I love you guys. I hope you are having a wonderful, fantastic day. As always, I look forward to seeing you real soon. Bye, you guys.